Former Nagaland Chief Minister, former Governor of Goa, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Odisha, aro Padma Bhushan awardee Dr. S.C. Jamir Bagushe gi 6 decades opor Naga manu ke kan culture bra suppressed kurigina ahya segushe. Aji Immanuel College Dimapure World Heritage Day mania laga team perspective on the Naga struggle for self-determination laga team loigina Dr. S.C. Jamir bra Naga political struggle aro contemporary political realities opor kotha kurishe. IB de laga details so.
For the last nearly 6 decades, the people in Nagaland have been slumbering. Why? Because they have been totally subjugated, oppressed, suppressed by gun culture. But as the Bible said, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be silent and a time to speak out. And therefore, this is the appropriate time. This is the opportune time. This is the right time. This is the critical time for all of us to speak out. You cannot remain slumbering. Remain silent at this point of time. So as Bible said, this is the time to speak. And therefore, as an old man, I'm speaking to you what had happened during these 50 years and what is going to happen and what is happening today. I think these are the issues which we have to very carefully, seriously consider and study. More than 6 decades, the only stable tide for the people of Nagaland continues to be Naga political problem. And consequently, they have neglected much more important issues, much more important activities which are required to be considered. Have we ever thought of the economic sphere of the state? Have we ever discussed about the educational problem of the state? Have we ever discussed about the social problem of the state? Cultural aspect, all this. But we have totally neglected all these issues and we have put the entire thing, politics, in the same basket. And what is the condition today? After putting all these eggs in the same basket, now the basket is either missing or destroyed because of our follies, and now it is not visible, it is not traceable. And that is the kind of polity which we have inherited during these 50 years of political struggle. Nothing is so clear, nothing is visible. And today, the entire gamut of these political activities are dormant. And therefore, it is the responsibility of the enlightened citizens, like the younger generation, like you, because you belong to the future. So it is time that the elderly people like us should thoroughly introspect and retrospect what had gone wrong with our people. And in order to have a very clear idea of the problem we are facing today, I think we have to approach this with objectivity and systematic approach, and this is the hallmark of all important issues in the world. And the same process requires, the same premise required in order to understand the genesis, the importance, and the significance of Naga political struggle. We should not entertain any prejudice against or for, because today I am speaking to you not as a politician, but I am speaking to you as a professor of political science, so that all this prejudice can be wiped out. So I am speaking not as a politician, but as one of your professors, because we are speaking about politics. That's why I want to have that title, Professor of Political Science. Now, let us very carefully see some of the things. Now, history is a witness to what had happened, what is happening during these 50 years, or more than 50 years. History is a witness to the decades of stormy, perilous Naga political pilgrimage or political voyage, during which the people, our own people, have to live a life of monumental struggle and sacrifices for the cause very, very dear to their hearts. And what is that? A separate homeland for Naga people. That is the one. As a matter of fact, a generation of my people, my generation, they have lived in blood and sacrifices for the cause of our dear Naga homeland. Now people are talking so many things about this. But may I take this opportunity to tell you in very brief a panoramic view of what had happened during these years. Many people were claiming that Nagas are troublemakers, Nagas are doing like this. But may I tell you? Huh? No. After the Second World War, when the British Empire collapsed, before the war, people said, British Empire, the sun never sets in British Empire. But after the Second World War, the British Empire was decimated. And at that point of time, colonial people, whether it is in Africa or Asia, including India, they have started struggling for freedom. At that point of time, our forefathers, the leaders of yesterday years of Naga people, they also felt that they also should be free. They should also have a home of their own. And therefore, Naga struggle started in the right time. That is the reason why we said the Nagas have got a unique history. When other tribals, they never realized their right. And yet, at that point of time, people have realized that they have got a right to live as a free people. And that was the conviction, that was the determination of the people of Nagaland. And in order to pursue the struggle, an institution has to be established, And therefore, in 46, Naga National Council was formed at Oka. And that Naga National Council was a representative that represents the voice of Naga people. There was only one solid voice for Naga people, and that was echoed by Naga National Council. The first president was T. Aliba MT. He was a graduate, honors in English from Shillong. So he was the first NNC president. And second was Mondamu Kitam, who later became minister also. Then Misa from Chakama. Then in 1950, maybe 10 March, Fizu was elected as president of the Naga National Council. So when he assumed the presidentship, then he gave a very clear direction how Naga struggle should pursue. So in order to solidify the movement, plebiscite was held in 1951 under his leadership. According to records, 99.9% voted for Naga sovereign independent land. And with that mandate, Fizu started the struggle. And the entire people of Nagaland rallied around Naga National Council. One voice, one objective, one towering leadership. But in due course of time, again, rift started within Naga National Council. Moderate group and hardliner. Moderate group said, unless we follow non-violence means, democratic means, a tiny people like us will be swallowed up by the mighty India. But one group said no, we have to follow a hard line. There was clash, as a result of which T. Sakre, a genius, very handsome, very eloquent in English, though he studied only intermediate science. He was a musician, singer. He was an orator. He was an intellectual. He was kidnapped from Chichama by his own people, tortured and killed. And that was the beginning of dissension in the Naga struggle. That when situation worsened, Assam government couldn't control the situation, because they started committing excesses, atrocities on our own people. So Pentagon also formed their safeguards to protect our people. So Assam government became helpless, and therefore they have to deploy Indian security forces in aid of civil power. So when army come, what would they do? They are ordered, they are commanded to crush. And that is the approach of army. So in that process, Naga people have to face the atrocities of Indian security forces. Our houses were burned, granaries were burned, Villages were grouped and stockaded, no cultivation, no contact among people, no food, and those people whose villages were burned, they had to take shelter in jungle. At that point of time, Nagas have to suffer. Nagas have to suffer this, but nobody knew it. Nagas have to live in that condition, unseen, unloved, uncared, unknown by outside world. Then what happened? Because of stockading of villages or armed group, no food, no ammunition, no contact with people. A terrible condition. At the same time, all the men folks, you herded many of them to jail, and remaining were fully engaged in forced labor. And at the same time, underground people also started killing our own people with suspicion that they are agents of the underground. They call CIT. So in between this situation, one side like a devil, other side like deep blue sea. In that situation, people were plunged, no hope, no light. Then, what will be the consequence? Either to surrender and go back to Assam as a district, as a defeated people, or something has to be found out in order to salvage the hopes and aspirations of the Naga people. So at that time, church leaders, government servants, and overgrown public leaders, they started consulting among themselves. Each tribe, what to do? We have to have only two choices, either annihilation or survival. Do we survive or do we annihilated? Naturally, Nagas would like to preserve their identity. They want to live as a people, not as a subject to Assam. So after consulting all the people, consulting all tribes, representatives of the then Tuensang Frontier Division, and representatives of the then Naga Hills District of Assam, they had consultation that something has to be done, otherwise the situation will go beyond repair. So ultimately, in order to salvage the Naga people from this terrible situation, Naga People Convention was held in 1957. About 3,000 representatives came from different parts of Naga Hills and Tuensang area. And at that point of time, when Naga people were groaning under the weight of army operation, not a single sympathetic voice was heard from Nagas of other areas, whether it is from Manipur Nagas or original Nagas or Assam Nagas. No, none of them even expressed even a word of sympathy for the suffering and of Naga people at that point of time. So Naga People Convention was born in order to save the situation. Then time was given to consultation. But government of India said, nothing doing about sovereignty. Either have it or leave it. So we have to choose one or the other. In order to save the Naga identity, the Naga people, and to make them a proud citizen, Naga People Convention decided that we should now decide to have our own state within Indian Union. Draft was prepared. It was circulated. And in 1959, at Mogoksho, 5 days deliberations was made about this 16-point memorandum. Only after thoroughly digesting the contents, the word, the phrases, and the idea contained in that, the people have passed a unanimous resolution that 16-point memorandum should be the basis for negotiation with the Prime Minister of India. So when in 1960, a delegation, negotiating party appointed by the Naga People's Convention met the Prime Minister, then he agreed to give us statehood. But we said, yes, we shall have state, but it should be under Ministry of External Affairs. People, you'll be wondering why I am raising this. Because Nagaland, a state within the Union of India, shall have to be looked after by Home Ministry. So I said, no, you should be in Home Ministry. But we said, no, we should be under you, because that time Pandit Nehru was also holding the portfolio of External Affairs Ministry. But our intention was, when underground people negotiate finally, it should be at Prime Minister level. That's why we said, no, we should be only with you. That is the reason why Nagaland state was kept under Ministry of External Affairs. Mind you, no other state. Secondly, no other state was created through political negotiation except Nagaland. All the states in the country were formed, created under recommendation of the State Reorganization Commission. But Nagaland is the first and the only state which was formed through political agreement. And there we have mentioned very specifically Article 371A. Clause 1 said, as far as religious and social practices are concerned, government cannot pass an act unless Nagaland Assembly say yes. Land, any resources belongs to Naga people, and therefore central government cannot pass law with regard to petroleum or any minerals available in Nagaland. This is the safeguards. And not only that, since Tuinsang Frontier Division was backward, we have made a special provision for Tuinsang for 10 years, and they were asked to function under Tuinsang Regional Council, so that different tribes of Tuinsang area, now they call it MBO area, they should also discuss their own problem in that council. The proverb says, it is the where the shoe pinches. Similarly, whether it is in Noklak area or in Imchong area, Konyak area, Pom area, Chang area, Satem area, the people know their problem. So in order to discuss among themselves, we have formed that regional council for 10 years. But after 3 years, they said, no, now we shall also be a real participant in the functioning of the state. So they also joined with the rest of the country. So from the beginning, they are also participating in the governance of Nagaland. No discrimination. Now, the question is, all these years we were only talking. But in 1947, the first agreement, political agreement, was made between Naga National Council and Akbar Hydari, who are representing President of India, 1947. And that is called 9 Points Agreement, or it is also called Akbar Hydari Agreement. Everything was accurate except the 9 point. And what does the 9 point says? After expiry of 10 years, the Naga National Council will be asked whether the same arrangement will continue or a new agreement should be made. That was the provision. But Naga National Council say after expiry of 10 years, the Nagas will be free to choose their own form of government. That is the reason why it collapsed. That political talks collapsed. The government, they never agreed to this sovereignty. Why? If you read the Constitution, this Indian Independence Act of 1947 passed by British Parliament, you read carefully. In there, since political science people, you read that one. They say all the subjects which was under British administration, some will go to Pakistan and some will go to India. And at that point of time, Naga Hills was a district of Assam. So without our knowledge, British government has handed over to India. That is the reason why even today we are suffering. But after saying all this, what needs to be done now? The world is different. 2024 is not the same as 1960. World is changed. Completely changed. Now the world has become like a village. In those days, we used to memorize even what is torchlight. We had to memorize. What is ventilation? We had to memorize. But today, in your mobile, you see the world, you hear everything which is taking place in the world. So your generation is different. And therefore, if Naga people have to survive as a people, let us keep attuned with the changes that are taking place in 21st century. Are you a citizen of this 21st century or citizens of 19th century? I think we have to ask ourselves. And I believe as an old man, I belong to a citizen of 21st century. And I want to move according to the political, economic, social realities of contemporary world. Because our future has to be carefully telescoped. But today, people are only talking, only politics. Yes, some commission is also a memorandum. And our elders, they have submitted a memorandum which was befitting to them the situation at the point of time. Plebiscite was done because it was the right step at that point of time. But the world has changed. And 16 point was made because that was the right time to make it. And today, we are part of India. And remember, India is emerging as one of the superpower of the world. Because 21st century will be a century for the Asians. That is the reason why India has adopted low-caste policy. Now they call it ag-based policy. When it is fully matured, there will be a flood of people coming from that Southeast Asian countries. Capitalists to invest, scholars for research, students for studies, tourists to see. There will be tremendous influx of population from Southeast Asian countries. And that time, after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, the entire Northeast region will be fully engaged in economic activities. Whether we shall also be a participant in economic boom, or we shall be a second citizen at that point of time, only by talking about politics, and doing nothing. Now that framework agreement has been already made, agreed budget has been made, and when it was signed, they shook hands with Prime Minister, with Home Minister, clap hands. That means agreement. Then why Naga should go away from what they said? Naga should stand. And I believe, even though they are not showing to us, under the current situation, whatever they have done, that is the only possible thing which we could expect. And therefore, the younger generation, you look forward, you look to the future, and don't spend your time only for the past. So many yesterdays have gone by. So many minutes, tomorrows also have gone by. But what will remain with you? Today, the present, which is very important. If you make use of today, the present, then this present alone can create a better future. And this present alone can leave a legacy, a history, a good history for yesterday. And therefore, young people, you are enlightened, you are educated, the future belongs to you. And therefore, don't be blind to the past. Past is only for reference. But be vigilant of what you are doing today and have a bright future through your commitment, your dedication, and your foresightedness. And as all men like me, I still feel that Nagaland will definitely shine. This will be one of the envy of the rest of the country in the world. Provided settlement comes, opportunity is given to our people, our youngsters, because they have got the dynamism to move forward. And with these few words, I can only pray that God will definitely bless the younger generation of Naga people.